following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop.
Hey y'all, Jacob Ledrup here.
Hey guys, Chuck Ritchie here, formerly of Bowl TV.
Hey guys, this is Ryan Schaefer of track staff at Valley Bowling Center in Waverly, New York.
And you're listening to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Yo, the boys from Straight Up 5, Rad Rob, Dr. Ocho, and of course JP Jr.
As you know, JP Jr. used to be introduced as the sexiest man in bowling and now the world. But he doesn't have the best hair in the world. I do. Sorry, bud, but you know the deal. Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation.
Strike, and they claim it. Similarly does it.
So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob Francois. Rad Rob Francois. Dr. Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. We are back. This is episode 156, and I am your host, Rad Rob Francois. Welcome everybody to the chat tonight. We have a very special guest. But we need to get to our loyal viewers that have been waiting a month for us to come back. Let's start off with Chuck Ritchie.
I do.
What's going on, Chuck? Chuck's been bowling very well in the PBA 50. Good job, brother. We got Nico Pujar, our resident statistician and reporter. Thank you. Good to be back. Alex Bermudez from behind the drill press in Modesto, California. What's going on, brother? Crambone is in the house. We got Pico. Love the new look. Hope all is well with you guys. We're doing well. We're doing very well. We got my buddy Sperone. Welcome back, gents. Thank you, sir. Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. My birthday was yesterday. Thanks, Johnny and Ouch. Sean Kelly, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the show. We got Mike Jones. What's up, bro? Welcome, everybody. We're happy to be back. Yeah, we have a new look. We have a new logo. This one right here. Love it. Oh no, sorry. That's not it. There we go. There's our new logo. So yeah, new logo, new intro. But this is still a thing. I don't care what anybody says. It's always going to be in our hearts. Rest in peace, the old logo for the Union County, Illinois State Fair. Nothing compares to the State Fair in Union County, Illinois. Before I bring on my special guest, let's introduce our first co-host. He is the man with the golden mask. He still has the largest biceps on this show. He is the resident doctor of Straight Up 5 and the house hack from Howell Lanes, straight out of Ochoville, Dr. Ocho. What's going on, Och? I haven't seen those in so long.
You have posters on your wall. Stop acting like you haven't seen them. They're literally on your wall. They're on the back of your wife's head, probably, for all I know.
I tattooed it.
So you're filibustering again. We got to stop with this.
I'm happy to be back. I mean, I
had this whole birthday thing set up. I put the software drop in. It didn't work, and now you ruined it. So now I'm saying screw it. I don't care. Or whatever. Birthday
didn't work. Yeah. I mean, we've only known each other for 6 years.
We haven't known each other. So what I do know is something amazing happened over the who's that and who's that? Oh, I know Brad Miller and has that. There we go. That's not Ocho.
Come on, it's Jeff Skyers.
Jeff Skyers, of course. How could I forget? Because I never seen the guy before. If he wrote something, I know what he wrote. If it said, hey, I'm Jeff Skyers, I know it is. But amazingly, 2 weeks ago, and thank God we had this sabbatical. Okay, look, that's Parker's worried about his life right there. That's the look of scarcity. He's like, I'm going to feel like grease and shame as I walk out of this car. So look what happened.
He did. You're right. So anyway, what were you saying? 2 weeks ago? Have you? It's been a month. I
said, and I answered, and I said, no. The number's on the back. I called up and I was like, no, still can't. But
still can't find his
hopefully,
neck.
anybody, please, can somebody help this guy out? I stop filibustering again. Ruining the show.
All right,
let's
let's
bring
it
the first time in ever. Season 4 of Straight Up 5.
Season 4. It feels like season 4, doesn't it? Let's bring in the man of the hour. Too sweet to be sour. The Tower of Power. The second largest arms on this show. The best lefty on this show. Number 7 in your program. Number 1 in your hearts.
Makes no sense.
Everybody's favorite, Johnny. The one and only sexiest man in the world. Johnny Petraglia Jr. What up, JP?
I appreciate that intro very, very much, man. Made me feel really, really good. It's great to be back after almost a solid month now. Good to see you, Ocho, as always, and obviously you, Rad Rob. Got a lot.
And fuck this guy who just wrote this on the first comment. Fuck him.
I can't see the comments.
Yeah, well, fuck him. Nope, not gonna happen. Fuck off. What do you think of that shit? Nope.
Wait, can you ask Ocho to not talk over this week's guest like he does every single week? Or is that an impossibility? Welcome, John McCaslin.
Fuck him. He don't even know the show. Fuck him.
Chuck.
You do look good. Did you get your due from Georgie Hart?
Obviously, yes. I've been sweetly blended by good old Georgie Shore. Actually, nice. A couple days ago, I got her trimmed up. But no, everything's been going good. This last month has been very uplifting. Everything's been going pretty solid on my end, and I'm happy we get a second chance here to interview one of the people that had one of the biggest impacts on my life, and especially my bowling career nearly 25 years ago at this point. And this time actually be fully coherent enough to see what he has to actually respond with. And again, thanks to everybody who was looking out for this last month. And it's great to see all of you back. And shit, man, I'm assuming you got a nice little package put together once again to welcome this legend.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. It's only for first timer. He's a second time guest now. And no, sorry, Tim. Yeah, we the budget is gone for that. Ocho didn't appropriate.
Oh, and Rob, happy belated birthday! Obviously, I'm not on Facebook. Haven't been since last October. But happy birthday to you. Happy, what is it, 43?
I wish. Schmorty
Very
9.
nice, very nice. Get yourself ready for the senior tour.
One more year.
No, you have to have necks to bowl on the senior tour, I think, right? Isn't that a requirement?
Not necessarily, but I would like you to actually send me a copy of that flyer because I'm going to pass it around.
Put it on everything, man.
In my neck of the woods.
No pun intended.
I do.
I gotcha. Well, let's bring in a very special guest. He is now a 2-time guest. He is the coach to the pros. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Jesper Svensson for winning the PBA playoffs. And Tim played a big part in that. But yes, everybody knows who our guest is. It's one and only Mr. Tim Mack. Good evening,
Rob,
sir.
Good evening, guys. JP, good to see you, pal.
Great to see you, sir.
And Ocho, great to see you as well. Your biceps haven't gotten any smaller since a month ago, which is cool. But appreciate you guys having me on. And I know I rambled quite a bit last time, but we got a lot to talk about, hopefully. And you just mentioned Jesper. What a massive month he's had since the last time we talked. I mean, 2 wins in a row and beat the best bowler on the planet in an amazing match in the playoffs. And it was really cool to be part of that.
Yeah, I was actually going to start there too, Tim. I mean, I've always been a Jesper fan, and just his precision in that title match, his commitment to even the most minute of moves. I mean, you could always tell Jesper wants it, but you could really, really tell he wanted it, and his shot making proved it.
Yeah, I mean, JP, listen, we had a pretty good game plan going in. We only had 2 practice sessions on the left lane and the right lane. It was the right lane on one pair and the left lane on another pair. So it was lane 10 and lane 11, I believe. But we just kind of threw shots the first. It was only half an hour each time, and then the second session, we kind of simulated what we wanted to do in the 8 minutes that we had to get him ready. Fortunately for us, Kyle Troop came up, surprised Jesper with his fiance and our good friend Steph, that they traveled together to give Jesper some support and brought some reactive balls up. And huge, we took two realities, and we took a reality and also an optimum idol, and we stayed further left and kind of threw, tried to get a spot for us to dig in to throw the urethane at on the left lane, on the shorter lane. And then on the right lane, we threw balls up from 9 to 11 to really give himself like a spot to roll it at. And if you watched his cats, I mean, he really had to keep it in front of him on the longer pattern. And I thought he did a fantastic job of that. And listen, EJ's misfortune with a couple of unfortunate, 9 pins in the first game, Jesper was able to win that game. And then we made a little bit of a big change in the second game where we went to the loft in the 10th frame because we were struggling on the left lane. And so I just asked Jesper to loft it and make sure we got it to the left. And, he struck out in that 10th frame, was able to get up 2-0. And you guys know that in a scenario such as that, when there's a PBA title and $100,000 on the line and you've won the first 2 games, you've guaranteed yourself a roll-off. So, worst case scenario, he's playing on house money now these next couple of games. But it is EJ Tacket, and he has had another stellar year on tour. So, the guy's the best bowler on the planet right now. There's no denying that. And, just fortunate enough to, like you said, Jesper really was dialed in and had some amazing quality shot making. I tip my cap to Jesper.
Absolutely. It was a very, very enjoyable playoffs to watch front to back. A lot of good matches, a lot of exposure for the pros at that level. Like we always talk about it, like you get to watch your favorite golfer 4 straight days. It's nice to be able, if you're a Jesper fan, if you're an EJ, it's nice to be able to watch them bowl multiple games and actually stay with them as they're making those, whether they're big or small moves throughout the course of those 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, listen, it's the best 12 for the season, right? They bowled all season to earn that spot. And Jesper didn't get his spot until the last week when he won the Tournament of Champions. So he was obviously bowling with a lot of confidence. And then, he was able to, get through the first couple of rounds, with some, just some solid bowling and not making a lot of mistakes and some clutch shot making here and there. And, put himself in position in the final to, when it's a race to 3, and you got 2 heavyweights. I mean, heavyweights in bowling, like you said, it's really great for the fans. They're able to watch a number of their bowlers, a number of their top bowlers, in multiple matches. And it came down to those 2 heavyweights, and you have the best bowler on tour against the guy that was the hottest at that moment, right? He just won the Tournament of Champions. He just anchored the, Team Storm in the Battle of the Brands, and they were able to win that. So he's coming off a lot of confidence in that building. And then, I just think, we had a pretty good game plan together, and, he just made incredible shots. And, that's what it's going to take to beat EJ right now. He's, what a year he's had. He's going to win the Player of the Year again for his third consecutive year in a row and his 4th overall. You tip your cap also to EJ Tacket and his team at Motive for what they did all year and for what he was able to accomplish. And, just really proud of, Jesper and our team, the guys at Storm and, our all those guys, Rob Galcho and our tour team, he's the lead. And, we had Wesley Lowe and Joey Criswanos, and I just happened to be the guy that cleaned it up there at the end. So it was really cool. So great to be part of something special. And I'll add this, guys, what was also unique, it was the last broadcast on Fox. And I just want to say, a big thanks to Fox and everybody at Fox Sports, and a special thanks to, to Rob Stone and everybody out at Fox for all they did for the PBA and bowling in general to put it in a great pedestal, to put it on that pedestal. And I think Rob Stone is, top, he's the best of the best in broadcasting. I mean, listen, the guy does college college football, big kickoff noon on Saturday. He's the lead. He's also the lead in the biggest sporting event in the world, the World Cup, the Men's World Cup of soccer, and women's as well. And he loves bowling, and for us to have him part of that, and big ups to Tom Clark for making that happen. And that back in 2017 or 18, I think it was. We tip our cap to Fox, and thank you. And now we look forward to the CW, and hopefully can bring some environment and energy to the bowling fans, and also the bowling community. That we all love, that everybody on this show loves.
It's a lot of good points there, Tim, and absolutely kudos to Fox and everybody, all the aforementioned. I have one more question for Tim, Rob, and then I'll pass it to you guys. I don't want to hog all the questions and for anybody else in the comments. Tim, just while we were talking about Jesper, to go back to that real quick, coming from you with the storied career you've had through all these years, what, like the same thing that made or makes Belmo the greatest of a generation?
Yeah.
Same thing with Walter Ray. What, in your eyes, separates right now EJ from everybody else? What does he do that's just a little bit better, if anything, that you could even pinpoint?
Listen, this is the modern game of the two-handed bowling style, which has really taken our sport by storm over this last decade. And you credit Jason Belmonte, Oscar Palermo for really kind of driving that. And now we've got Kyle Troop and Anthony Simonson and Chris Vi and Jesper Svensson, and Dave Boog Kroll, who's had a lot of success. You take the power game of the two-handed generation, which has been dominant also in the junior gold tournaments and all the junior events, and then you take a guy that's 5'10" and 5'9", 135 pounds. He's got his thumb in it, traditional bowler, and has a massive rev rate, and is just able to control his ball so well, front to back and left to right. And I think the one thing that makes EJ great, and the greats of our sport, the greats, your Walter Rays, your Norm Dukes, your Pete Webbers, your Parker Bones, the Earl Anthonys, those guys, what made those guys great too is they never panicked. They don't panic. And in today's modern game, there's a lot less opportunity for the long format games. But if you look at the major championships where there are long formats, go look at the records of EJ Tacket and Jason Belmonte and Anthony Simonson and the guys that don't panic. And I think that's one thing that we don't talk enough about is EJ's patience. He's able just to really I watch it week in, week out. I just think he's really in tune with his game, and he's really in tune with his equipment. And I'll give you one other. I think we got to shout out Brett Spangler. His tour rep and his team and the team at Motive have done a great job at getting him comfortable as well. But then you couple all those factors with the supreme confidence that he's bowling with. Man, I tell you, he's a generational talent because he's doing it in the two-handed era, which has been. We've all watched how dominant, Jason's had the greatest, I think it's the greatest 10-year stretch we've ever seen, where, what he's done. And I don't think he's finished either, but man, it's crazy watching it week in, week out. It was like when Belmo, first got started, even if he was down in the stands, you knew he was going to come. And EJ's doing the same thing, JP. He's no matter where he is in the standings. You take the U.S. Open, for example, this year. He was gone. He was done. He had to, and we bowled, and he was on the second day. He bowled the second squat on the long pattern, and he had to bowl 280 over just to make the cut for the last 7 games. Go bowl 280 over for league for 7 games, let alone the U.S. Open, which is the toughest test that we have. Absolutely. And he did it, and he got it done, and then he parlayed that into 24 more games of match play and won the tournament. So that's what I think is, where us, he's going to win his 3rd consecutive PBA Player of the Year. I mean, I don't see how it's not possible. Very few people have done that. I think Earl's done it. Belmo's done it a couple times. I think Walter's done it. And now EJ. I'm not sure of the statistics there, but, you're talking about, the Mount Rushmore of bowling when you start mentioning those names. And, he's earned that right. And I think, kudos to EJ Tacket and Motive and what they've done. It's been unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You mentioned earlier about Jesper winning 2 in a row, and it's not something we normally talk about when it comes to bowling. It's something you usually talk about, like, say, in the NHL playoffs, where you're riding a hot goalie, right? And and if you or baseball, you come into the playoffs, everything's clicking at the right time. But Jesper winning 2 in a row and having that confidence is a big deal, especially, like you said, going against the best bowler in the world.
I mean, 2 in a row.
Did you talk to him about what his mindset was for
listen,
last few weeks?
It's pretty easy because I remember because it's just only 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, Jesper's not in the playoffs. Storm's not the number 1 seed in the Battle of the Brands, and Jesper hasn't had a title all year, right? So we were practicing. I saw something that I felt like he could do with his hand, where which we haven't done all year, he could really get after and rotate it a little bit more. He was practicing with a sublime focus. So I said, Jesper, let's get the red balls out. And I want you to stand over here, get your hand here and really rotate it. But, from the inside out. And his eyes got real wide when his ball did the right thing. And then he missed to the right and it laid there. And then he threw one left and it roared off the gutter. Now, the fun fact that people don't know about is that night he bowled the Pro-Am and they bowled on the tournament condition. So he got 3 more games of practice. He went 279, 289, 279. Right? Wow. And guess what? All of a sudden, I said after I saw his ball, I said, Jesper's leading this bowling tournament. I sent a text to Tom Clark, actually, 20 minutes into practice, said, guys, Jesper's going to lead the bowling tournament. And credit to Jesper. He got off to a really good start. And then after, and he felt comfortable and confident. And it was something that, we had a key on, we could key on. And I've known Jesper since he's 7 years old. So I've watched him grow up in front of my eyes. I bowled against his father in Swedish league. So I've got a pretty good understanding of what makes him tick and what makes him feel good. And, and we had our tour team did a really good job during the week. We were charting pairs. That's where the left was really good that week. We had Wesley Lowe down on the low end. We had Joey Creswanos on the high end, and then me and Rob bouncing around. And we got as much information as we could and gave it to him. And, he took it and ran with it. We don't have a lot of lefties. And when the left was good that week, that's where we needed JP to bowl. We needed JP to get out there, thumb in it or no thumb. He would have been the heat. But it was the polar opposite of what happened the week before at the Players, where there was no lefties in the top 40. And then this week, the left was good. So we wanted to make sure that we had the information for him. We did that. And then, Jesper got more and more confident. And then he lost a 250 pin lead after the first round of match play. EJ caught him. But what I told him, I said, and it was the same week right after Rory McIlroy had won the Masters, if you guys remember, in golf. And and what I said to Jesper when he came back to the bowling center, I said, Jesper, because he was obviously super hot that he lost his 250 pin lead in 8 games, but him and EJ were still quite far ahead of the field where we knew he was going to make the show.
Right.
Just whether it could be the number 1 seed. I said, Jesper, I said, if I'll just preface it with this. When Rory McIlroy missed that putt to win the Masters, and him and his caddy got in the golf cart and they're driving to the 18th for a playoff, his caddy turned to him and said, hey, Roars, if I told you at the beginning of the week, you're going to be in a playoff to win the Masters, would you have taken it? And he's like, absolutely. I'm goddamn right. I'd take it all day long. That's right. So I said to Jesper, Jesper, if I told you before you threw a practice shot in the beginning of the week, we're going to be second going into the last round of 8 games of match play, and you're going to be 20 pins back, would you take it? He's like, absolutely. So kind of reset the mind frame. And then we had a game plan that no matter what he did, because we weren't as aggressive in the second round as we were in the first round, after game 3, we were switching balls. Even if he bowled 279 or 300, we were switching urethane balls. And he actually bowled, he went 250 or 260, 260, win-win, got the lead right away, and then bowled EJ and struck out to beat him. I said, all right, Jesper, we're changing balls. He's like, really? It's like, yep, change it. He didn't blink an eye. And 240, 260, 250. And when we had a 300 pin, 280 pin lead going the last game, and then he locked up the number 1 seed. And then obviously we had, our tour team came up with a good plan on TV, and, Jesper bowled great, and Buttriff got off to a little bit of a slow start, and, Jesper wins that tournament. Well, that not only does he win that tournament, but that gets him in the playoffs. And then it bumps Storm, the Battle of Brands, to the number 1 seed. So many things happened because of that led to where we're talking about the PBA playoffs. Then he makes his run in the playoffs. Well, first off, he anchors the team to win the Battle of the Brands. Then he makes his run in the playoffs. And, Saturday we're bowling for the title against, the number 1 bowler in the world. But I just told him, I said, we're going to win. I just kept on. We're winning, just to try to instill to him that, we're not going to lose. And, to make him, just see one goal, one vision. And, then we had a little game plan where we burned a little spot for us, on the TV, and it worked out really well. We used 2 different balls on each lane, and and then really you got to credit Jesper, because he bowled absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you told him to make that little tweak in his style, what was it that you saw that made you come up with that?
Jesper's, and Johnny can understand this. Jesper's really good at his ball. It's got such a heavy roll. He gets the ball in a real heavy roll. Well, 600 rev rate at a heavy roll is massive. Well, I just felt like we were getting it into a roll too early, and I wanted him to delay the roll a little bit, because what happens in Akron? At Akron, they hook there, right? They hook a little bit, and I just felt like, let's see if we can delay the roll a little bit, and let's rotate it a little bit more instead of getting up it. And so then even when he's rotating it and didn't have mass rotation, he still was rotating it enough where when he rolled it a little bit, it didn't penalize him, and his carry was really good, and he had a little bit more left and a little bit more right. And the light bulb went on for him. And you take a bowler of that caliber, a bowler of JP's caliber, or any of the top guys, right? Any of the guys that know what they're doing, and when they see it, man, it's put the seatbelt on, buckle up, because you're going for a ride. and that's what it was.
Second part follow-up, and I'll throw it back to Johnny. When you told him you were going to switch balls after beating EJ, he trusts you 100%. Is that just because of the relationship you've developed over almost his whole life?
Listen,
right?
I think it's unique, right? I mean, these things don't develop overnight, right? That's the beauty of what we're trying to do we're trying to get the guys, the new guy. Listen, to develop relationships and trust like that, it takes time. It's just not going to happen overnight. So we as reps, we don't make the hey, thanks, Jay. I appreciate it. I bowled like a spastic, but thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Still not ready yet, guys. But we don't make the right decisions all the time, right? But I've been around them enough to know, that I think I have a good feel for what, and our team does. Our team has a good feel. We gather the information, and then you try to get him the right stuff to make him believe in it. And there's some guys that I've been around for a long time, right? And feel like we got blanket trust with those guys. And when you have that, it certainly helps in the dynamic of the player tour rep relationship. It's a unique thing. It doesn't happen overnight, though. It's a trust level. And I used to be a decent bowler, so I won a couple tournaments myself. So I think the guys also trust it a little bit as well, because really, guys, in the end of the day, I'm those guys, right? I've been in the heat with them. I've been in the battle. It's like Del Ballard says, when you've thrown it, and you've thrown it for that kind of, that, as Johnny and you guys know, when you've thrown it for the wheat and thrown it for that kind of money, I think there's a trust level that happens. And listen, we don't always get it right, but that's what we're out there trying to do, is trying to strive to get it right for our guys.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, I guess, equivalent to trusting your caddy to say, that this putt's going right. It's gone right all day. I mean, and more oftentimes than not, you are correct. But every once in a while, I mean, shit happens for lack of.
Yeah, you make mistakes.
Exactly.
It happens.
Tim, now that did you have something before I ask this next question? You're good. Now that the regular tour season is over, are you involved with the senior guys, the ladies, or is your tenure as staff rep kind of on hiatus till the next tour season?
Yeah, listen, if our team needs help and I'm available to help them, and I'm not at another event for Storm or locally here, I try to help the Indianapolis bowling community here. Right, I have 3 pro shops that we run that we try to give back to the local scene here and do the best we can with it. I enjoy giving some lessons here at home. Just gave a lesson today to a lovely young lady today, Jane, who we had a great time on the lanes. But it's just a schedule wise that they've got listen, I enjoy watching the ladies bowl. I think tour repping the ladies is a different challenge than tour repping the men, and then tour repping the senior bowlers is a different challenge than either one. They're all 3 different challenges. I am going out. My real good friend Andrew Frawley's here from Australia, and he's bowling the senior shootout and the senior masters. And I am going out for that for a couple of days just to see him and see my good friend Victor Meyerhoff and see some of the guys and say hello to some people out there. On Sunday, I have to come back because my daughter, who's graduating high school on Saturday, has one of her last big travel soccer events, and it would be the same weekend as the senior masters, which, man, I'd really like to bowl it, but my daughter comes first in these times, and I don't want to. She scored 2 goals last night that were awesome, so I was fired up. So it's So awesome. I'm not saying no, JP. I did work a couple of the women's events last year where Sin Jane won the U.S. Open because it was here in Indianapolis, and then she also won the Players Championship the Tour Championship at the end of the year. So that was fun too. So yeah, we'll just listen. I'm a team guy, so this on June 28th, 1995. September or June 28th, 2025 is going to be my 30th anniversary with Storm. It's 30 consecutive years. So thanks. I appreciate it. I take a lot of pride in that. And, there's been a lot of change and, a lot, with Mr. Crispin passing and, but we've got a good team in place and Tyler Jensen's running the ship and, we've got, good leadership there. And I'm just trying to do my part and to help continue Bill's legacy and, and Barb Crispin as well, Mama C. So, so if they ask me to do something and, and I'm available, I'll go work the military event probably in August because I think that's one of the most important events in bowling. It's the high roller military event that goes for 1 month.
Yep.
That's all of our military veterans. And, I think it's a really important event. And, we have the TAT in July, but it's my 20th also wedding anniversary that week. So I'm going to spend some time with my wife, for that 20 to JD Santa Lucia, some lightning and thunder. I got them downstairs, buddy, if you want them.
Dude, it's so funny when you said 30 years. The first thing I'm thinking of is like, oh my God, we're going actually be probably 28 or 29 years. No, yeah, 28.
Long time.
But I'm thinking Blue Thunders, Lightning, send them to play Tour Powers.
Yeah, I got them downstairs. Listen, JD asked a great question on the urethane. Yeah. It's different than it was back when we bowled on it. It's different. And listen, I think you have to be prepared to bowl, understand what urethane does to the lane, and also understand, when it's not in play. I think too many people today use it when they don't have to. And it drastically affects the lane and how the lane is attacked for the field. So it does impact it does impact bowling at the highest level. There's no doubt about it.
Tim, can I ask a follow-up then about that?
Sure.
I've actually always been curious about this. Let's say you're out on tour and you have, I don't know what better way to explain it, somebody who's not quite one of your premier players,
Okay.
but is a staff member. So let's shy away from the Troops, the Prathers, the Jespers, the Belmos. But let's say you've got somebody who's maybe made television 2 times and they've been out on tour for 10 years. And they're in contention for either, I don't know, making match play, making a TV show, or even earlier on in the tournament. I guess my question is there ever a situation where you advise players to shy away from using urethane in fear of the traffic that, like, maybe you have other staff guys behind you? Like, would you ever try and tell somebody that has a good look using a ball that may be disruptive to a pattern to shy away from it?
No, I think we've got enough staffers on our. It's a great question, by the way. But I think our job is not to get a specific staffer on TV. Our job is to make sure that this logo wins, right? So, our job is each bowler is its own unique piece, right? We'll just take Kyle Troop and Anthony Simonson. They don't see the lane the same way. Right. Neither does Belmo. Belmo doesn't see the same way as Chris Fye sees it. And then, you take a Chris Prather who doesn't see it, the same way as a Brad Miller or a Kyle Sherman. So our goal and our job always is to put our bowlers in the best possible position to obviously knock down the most pins. So we're going to put them in whatever ball we think is the right ball to use for them to maximize their score.
Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
You go ahead. Go ahead. You follow up.
Could it also be situational, like in the case of the league, or in the case of the Battle of the Brands, where you have a team event, Baton Rouge? They were talking about, USBC Open Championships.
Sure.
Is there, in situations like that, is it more of like you being the manager of the Lumberjacks? Is it, guys, I want you all in pin down 2,000 grit equinoxes for the first 10 minutes of practice in this zone?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of times we do that, right? We think, hey, this is where we think we need to be, guys. If, you take a 6-game tournament, like a 6-game block, and if you can control, 20% of the block, which is game 1, why not try to do that, right? So we do discuss that, and we have a chat group that we're logging the lanes, we're logging where everybody's standing, we're logging where everybody's using. And we're sending that information in real time to our group chat so everybody can watch what our staff is doing. And then obviously we're watching the other staffs and seeing what they're doing. So we're giving real-time information. And this year in match play, we logged every game. So, and again, that's a credit to our team, right? What Rob has done, with Wesley and Joey, we're trying to get all this information, and then we have to dissect it and have, how does it benefit each player, right? One player is going to use it different than another player. So that's the challenge. And sometimes, guys, we don't have a lot of time, right? And we're spread out across the bowling center. So it's, there's a lot of challenges to tour repping. I laugh at some of the comments they make. As I was just reading some of the stuff. I don't engage in it because some of it's people that just don't understand. They're uneducated. Some guy wrote something about how hard is it to ball rep? Yes, pin up, pin down, IQ red. Like that, you're showing your ignorance by not understanding bowling by making a statement like that.
Sure.
Absolutely ignorant, has no validity whatsoever, and couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. That we're in the trenches every day, so I see it, and I'm a bowler too. So it's it's funny to see that stuff, but our job, right, is really to make the best educated possible decisions possible. And you talk about the team thing and the Lumberjacks and the PBA league. We had seamless communication amongst our team, and I cared deeply about that event. I cared deeply for Charlie Mitchell and everybody at Bayside Bowl, and we were all on the same page on, we had the 3 righties, that were, 4 righties, and then we had the lefty, each year. And we tried to make sure that we would mirror the, and have nothing but seamless communication top to bottom. And I think that's why we had a lot of success in the league as well.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
I definitely wanted to get
Sure,
into
Matt.
the league because we could do a whole show on just that. Before we get into some of the stories over the years, did you talk to Tom about why he made the change?
Without not knowing the exact reason why, I think Tom wanted, listen, there's forces that decisions that are made that, people always put it on Tom Clark. I think that's unfair. Tom has people that he has to answer to as well.
Sure.
And I think that, that PBA league was something really special. I do. I think people started to follow it. I think, where in the world are you going to see Parker Bone, winning a big championship right now in that format, in that environment, against, Arturo Quintero. Right. So, there's so many things that go into it. Right. And I think Tom sometimes unfairly gets labeled. That's the biggest supporter for me, of the PBA. Tom Clark is a pretty big supporter of the PBA, and a real reason why these guys have a lot of, what they bowled for, and orchestrated, with AMF and Bolero and, Lucky Strike now. And, all that goes with, there's a lot of things that go behind the scenes that people don't know about. And,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's, financial situations that people don't know about. There's contracts that people don't know about. And in the end, we went back to something that we did previous with the battle of the brands. For me personally, obviously I'm happy Storm won. I've been with the company for 30 years, but, the PBA league that we had prior to that seemed to be really gathering a lot of steam too, just for the fact that we started bowling week in, week out that last year, where it was every week we had matches, and every week, obviously it wasn't perfect and we still had to work on things, but people were following, were able to follow it, and obviously gravitating towards their favorite teams. And I think it would have been great if we could have got, a Detroit, like we did in Strobel Arena, where I remember when we bowled the High Rollers, but it was Andrew Anderson's hometown, and he had a bunch of people come there and they went crazy for him. Right. So I think if we could have got to the point where, we had the home bases, it still could have been something special. So, I can't speak on that behalf as far as what happened behind the scenes, but I do know Tom's a big, obviously a friend of mine and a business colleague, and he's a big supporter of professional bowling. So he's going to do whatever he can to help make it work.
I became a big fan of the league in probably the last 4 or 5 years. And I was kind of hoping like other things were going to spawn from it too. Like certainly things have, but I started thinking about the movie Basketball and how everybody just picked up this brand new sport that anybody could play. Right. And then I started thinking about like, what about like if we had like a world team challenge again, and each regional winner has the opportunity to bowl one of the PBA teams? Like, I feel like that would bring even more people into the more competitive side of bowling and get more exposure for the sports elite.
Yeah, that's a great, JP. That's a great parallel with, what do the fans always say? All these people that they tell us how great they are. Well, all right, put your team together and let's go bowl the pros, right? Exactly. And we'll find out, right? It's what a better way to do it than on the lanes. And listen, there's a massive amount of great talent across our country and around the world, as we saw with the World Series, with all the international winners, and we've seen. So great idea. Team bowling, I got a chance to experience it, when it was at its peak with the team challenges, and when there's 70 teams,
when it was at its peak too,
75-man teams at the Showboat. I'll never forget when I walked into the bowling center, 1 through 70, 5-man team at the Showboat, and it was full full. I couldn't believe what I couldn't believe it. And then, just experiencing that. And guess what? The lanes weren't easy, and people kept coming. People kept showing up because they knew it was about team bowling, camaraderie, making spares. It was just an amazing environment. And I think the team bowling, this last 10 years with the PBA league and how it was, it was really something really cool and it's really special. What's going to happen in the future? I don't know. Is the battle of brands going to continue? I don't know. I don't have that answer. So just, but team bowling is special. And you think about it from this guy's, what do all our leagues do? Like Chuck says, team bowling is the foundation of bowling. He's right.
That's how I started. That's how we all started.
Everybody's bowling in league on a team.
That's right.
There's more team bowling leagues than there are singles leagues. So
yep.
Team bowling is pretty cool. And you just listen, we've got a lot of smart minds out there, and we got to just continue to embrace it. And let's see where it goes next. See what's next. That's really where we're at this point in time.
And Rob,
hold on, John. With the PBA LBC, I mean, that's a perfect way to get more people involved, as if you have the winner of the LBC take on, the winner of the PBA league, and see who's better. I mean,
what do people love going to? They like even the USBCs, the team event, the Eagles. They talk about that, and people, there's so much to be said about team.
What's crazy about it, Tim, is like you've heard this a million times. It's when you go to it, like when you go to USBCs, and I'm talking everybody that has a moderately normal heartbeat that bowls USBCs goes there and says eagle hunting. They go there with this thought in their brain, like they're going to win. Yeah. Right. Sure, you get the guys that say, yeah, I'm going on my drinking trip with my buddies for a week. Fine, whatever. But everybody that goes to bowl USBCs is going eagle hunting. They want to win. Meanwhile, 75% of those people are the same people that will go bowl a weekend warrior tournament. Say, I'm just going for the experience because it's on a tournament shot.
Sure.
It's like, how can you be so confident for this one event a year, but then go invest your money on the weekend and not go there with that same thought mentality? And you're right. It's the team. It's the comfortability you have in knowing somebody is either going to be calming you down because they're going to be doing worse than you, or better off, you have everybody on your team pumping you up so you in turn bowl better.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's the pinnacle of our sport, team bowling. What do people still talk about today? The Budweiser team.
Oh my God.
Back in the day, the Stroh's team, they still talk about that today. And and what do people also talk about? Team USA.
Yes.
The kids, Junior Team USA. Listen, that's a conversation and a topic for another time, but team bowling. I'm a big fan of it. I was blessed to be part of the league. I love Charlie Mitchell and everybody at Bayside. I miss being up there. Obviously, we didn't get the chance to go up there this year, and I certainly hope we get a chance to go back there and other venues where we can do some more team bowling.
For those of you who didn't ever get a chance to watch what Tim said earlier about the World Team Challenges, go back to the mid-'90s. Look at the talent pool that is on the majority of those shows, and the more shows you watch, the more faces you're going to say, holy shit, look who it is. I'm thinking back to watching when it was, it's you, John Gaines, Chris Barnes, Brad Angelo, Robert Smith. You get to look at Mike Triniski, Mike Newman. You get to look at all of JD, for Christmas sake. He was here earlier. But you look at all these guys bowling on before there were, this is the pattern, this is the volume, this is this. They were just short, hard. They didn't hook on the gutter, and they didn't hold in the middle. And you're looking at some of the best bowlers of all time still figuring out a way to even then do it and figure it out. No Aberlon, no chamois, no nothing. New
Great point, JP. Great point. You said, go on YouTube and go YouTube World Team Challenge from 1993 or 4 or whatever it started. I can't remember, to 1998 or 99, 2000. It was incredible.
Well, I mean, look at they only had about 10 balls to choose from. I don't mean 10, but like obviously there was a lot less equipment choices back then too, right? Like you got a couple of Columbias and then a hammer or whatever. And I don't know.
You had balls, Ocho, you had balls, right? But you just didn't have, excuse me 1 second. I got to close my door. It's raining. But you just didn't have
an arsenal, basically.
Well, you didn't have guys walking in with 12 balls like you do now.
Yeah. You had maybe 2 or 3, and you're like, I hope these work.
Because the oils and the transition and the balls, everything's just different now. It's a different game.
Yeah, it's not like everybody just. If you go back and watch old shows, like even on the PBA tour in the early '90s or like the early resin era, you see an awful lot of top high-end pros on all those shows going Brooklyn, missing the pocket here and there. It's not like they just. Obviously, bowlers get better and more technologically advanced as each generation passes. But you go back and you look, then it's like, I understand that they're going Brooklyn, they're going high, but they don't have guys in the back hitting it with 1,000 Aberlon.
Yeah, and then saying, hey,
they don't have.
It wasn't a thing. It wasn't even. They didn't have it.
The specs and the forward and reverse and the buff. And and they're still averaging 220 plus.
No, they're going, okay, I'm going to go like this to like this.
And that's
right. I'm going to throw it higher. I'm going to throw it harder.
That's a great point, Tim. It wasn't as technical back then as it is now.
That's why I feel like it's more skillful.
Hey,
there's a cat in front of you. I'm not sure if you know that. I think you might. It's okay. I didn't know if you knew.
All right. My cat just jumped on the table and decided to be part of the show.
The cat was wanting to see biceps. I know. I understand.
Yeah, probably likes the mask, Ocho.
Tender vittles.
Yeah. Getting back to it wasn't as technical back then as it is now, right?
It was technical for that time.
Sure.
I know, but I feel like it made it more athletic too, though. I feel it made it more like you had to adapt and make the ball do it rather than
no doubt
for the same thing.
Yeah, that's where guys like me and Robert and guys that had power and once I learned to I really honed it in and knew where it was going, we could create the advantage that some of the two-handers have in today's modern game.
Now, were you looking at topography or anything like that back then? Was that a thing?
No, not as much, but it started to come into play as time. Listen, Kegel wasn't around. They were around, but John Davis and his brain trust really started to come around where the education in the mid to late 90s where it really started coming. And, now, you take what Chris Chartrand and Kegel have done down there. It's taken John's vision and trust and moved it to the next level. And you've got Specto with, or Avaram out of, Israel that put that stuff together with Kegel. And, they got all these programs and all these training tools. It's, and information and, and I'll take it one step further. There's a reason why not only has John Janowitz been a world-class bowler for decades, but he also is probably the smartest with breakdowns and oils because he works at Kegel and he's all that knowledge to know, he's just brilliant. So
Tim, what's better?
Education is key and knowledgeable.
So but what if you would take 90s style of you bring your 3 bowling balls in and you got to make it work, or you have a lot of things at your disposal and you get to do, because I like to, there's no true answer. It's a loaded question. There's no right answer because they're both hard. Because if anything, you get more jumbled up when you got 25 bowling balls to choose from.
Right.
But all right, bowling wise, the purity of it, what's better? The 90s, the 80s, the 70s, or now having 20 balls on your arsenal and
all this information,
matching up, knowing the buffer, knowing the length, knowing all this stuff.
I mean, listen.
Loaded question, so there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, listen, it's 2 different challenges. That's like saying,
same sport.
You listen, you can only bowl against who's in your era, right? Jack Nicklaus couldn't go play against Tiger Woods in his era, right? So how do you know, we always have these discussions back and forth from sports and what have you. The NBA, is Jordan better than LeBron? Yes.
Of course.
Is the answer. But also,
so is Larry Bird.
The NBA is different now than it was, when Jordan played in it. Bowling now is different than when those guys.
Well, that's how I feel. I feel like it's so different that is there a distinction of which way? I mean, because it's so different. It's just, oil streak on the lane just to prevent the lanes from getting beat up. And they got to figure it out. They got a hand position with a couple of biscuits, or it's so technological that you got to be a freaking chemist to figure out, like you said, Janowitz. So it's almost they're both hard. Don't get me wrong, but is there a way?
I would think
cross loaded question. So
I would think I'm just going to intercept because I would think cross generationally is completely different. Like if you asked 1971 Johnny Petraglia, my dad, what bowling was like, he would tell you I had to make something out of what I had.
So that's my point.
100%.
Hardness rubber bowling ball. And after he was the best in the world for as long as he was, and then eventually as he got a little bit older, his brain is still thinking the way it did when he was the best. He still tries to make one bowling ball, maybe two bowling balls on anything he bowls on because that's what he grew up. If you took, I'm going to use Ethan Fiore as an example right now. If you took Ethan Fiore and you asked him, he would say, I'll bring 30 bowling balls to the bowling alley because I know how I want to let it go, and I know I'll find one that matches up with the correct zone to be in. The same way in, like, if you watch Jason Couch in 1993, Jason's wheeling the entire lane. As Jason's career went on, forget about the knee, forget about everything else. Jason learned how to play up the lane,
Sure.
Hard.
Sure.
I mean, it's you can't cross generations when you're talking about.
No. It's a matter of which way had it. I guess maybe had it harder. I always ask this thing because it's so different.
Purest games.
So different.
The purest games by the book were obviously, I would say, in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Or actually, well, I mean, obviously the basic game was prior to that.
Right. Late 70s into the 80s.
Like when you look in the 80s, 90s, there now you've got Duke, you've got Pete, you've got Parker, you've got sound games, Albee, Cook, even the power players, Robert Smith. You have Mike Edwards. I mean, we can go on and on. Tommy Lutz or David Ozio. They're all pretty games.
Yeah.
In that generation.
You mentioned someone, JP, that's interesting, right? Like Robert Smith won 7 or 8 times, and he won the U.S. Open, won the Japan Cup, Hall of Famer in my book. Hopefully he bowls a couple more events and wins another one because I think he can. His rev rate's still high. If Robert bowled in today's modern game, like just coming out, he reminds me of like a more powerful EJ Tacket. Like
right.
Exactly.
Because the
he tried to take his hand out of the ball.
Yeah, but the lane is so much left to right now. Left to right. Mm-hmm. Like it's got to go that way. If you still made the lane go up the lane, I'll call the little guy in Claremont, Florida out and see if he can come still wants to keep bowling.
Because didn't Robert Smith literally try to take his hand out of the ball?
Well, it actually he went two-handed and his rev rate went down. So
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
shit.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is
minimum, Bob.
Is there's not a lot of bowlers today that are winning, throwing it really straight through the front of the lane.
That is 100% correct.
You have to adapt to that. That's just the nature of the game, or you're going to get left behind. So you take a guy like Robert, who when he was bowling on tour, there was a stretch there where you had to throw it in front of you.
Yeah, and there's no chance in hell that's happening.
If you didn't, you weren't even going to make a cut.
He would walk in and go like, "I'm out. I'm done."
Yeah. And Robert's one of the greatest talents I've ever seen put his hand in the bowling ball.
Absolutely.
I watched it. I watched him, and I watched him win. I watched him dominate. But I would argue if he was in today's modern game, we'd win even more because his game is built to go left to right, just like mine was left to right. So and really when they figured it out. When they really could dial in some patterns where they made you throw it straight on the fresh where you couldn't hook it, you take the hook player's advantage away when the more you continue to re-oil the lane. It did. But today what you don't see is because the balls are so powerful and they're so strong and surfaces aren't getting newer. Lane surfaces are still bad. Right. And they're not putting more new installs in free fall bowling alleys. You've got to again, Johnny. We go back to what you said about crossing generations. it's incredibly difficult to predict something like that. Ocho is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
So if we could armchair quarterback just a little bit, and you've been around the game forever, Tim, so I would like your insight on this. If we had Albee, Voss, Weber, Parker, Walter now in their prime with all the different equipment and technology, would they win more than they did back in the 80s?
This is how I'll answer that question. Great is great. All right. Great is great.
Yeah.
Johnny Petraglia is an all-time great. He's great. So great is great, right? And I think the great ones, you listen, you can't fault someone for bowling what they bowled on in the generation that they bowled on. That's what they had to bowl on. That was the environment that they had to compete on. You can only take someone the environment that they had to compete on and see what could they have done. Like, I think it's unfair to say, the two-handers today wouldn't bowl good, in 1971. And then that to say that Johnny Petraglia, the man who won 14 titles and majors and 300 on TV, if you're saying that he can't compete when he won in 1970s and then shot 301 in 1996, then you're just, I'm sorry, you don't understand bowling. I mean, the guy was a winner then. He proved it as his game continued to move. So I just think greatness travels no matter where it goes.
Yeah.
And ultimate greatness is never inhibited by anything. I mean, that's like in my eyes, that's always kind of was the separating factor between the greats and the greatest. I mean, Walter Ray Williams Jr. was Player of the Year before resin existed in 1986. He's also, him and Belmo share the most Player of the Year awards of all time. But I mean, Walter Ray, 80s, 90s, urethane, plastic, resin, lacquer, synthetic. I don't care what, string pins, non-strings, one hand, two hands. Walter Ray won on everything and with everything. Pete Weber won with everything on everything. Norm Duke won more with resin, but did win his first title in his teens in 1983 in Cleveland and beat arguably one of the greatest of all time, who has one of the most, if not the most amazing 12-year stretch ever in Earl Anthony. But you can't, I had a point that I was trying to make on bringing all this up. It's because, like, I hate when people try and say, well, what if this guy bowled in this generation instead of this generation? Right. Because truthfully, if Parker Bone was in this generation right now in his prime, first off, Parker isn't bowling for 30 weeks a year or on the fall tour, the spring tour, the summer tour like they did. So the opportunity to win that many titles isn't there, number one. I mean, so it's, I just like to refer, like, when people bring up Michael Jordan and they bring up Wilt Chamberlain and they bring up Kareem and they bring up Kobe, like, I don't think there is a greatest of all time. I think there's the greatest of each generation. We talked about this on the show with Belmo. Belmo will go down arguably as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest, if you even want to have that conversation. But he's certainly the greatest or one of the greatest of my generation, hands down, same as EJ.
Yeah.
So I would prefer to put the class in their own category and talk about why they're so great in their generation, rather than say, like honestly, who gives a shit if my dad is ranked 16th all time if you base it off these past 50 years and not the 50 years prior? I don't give a shit. He did what he was supposed to do. Nobody cares.
I want to mention one other guy, JP, that we saw come across the screen that changed bowling also for me. Mark Roth.
Of course.
Like Mark was an innovator, right? And he changed bowling, right? He was the first real natural power player that we saw, and that bloody thumb and just the grit. And Mark was a man's man. He was a winner.
Yeah.
He was a winner, and he won at an alarming rate. So I also want to mention the late great Mark Roth, because he, I got to obviously spend a lot of time with him, as his career was already over, and he come around the Roth Holman doubles, and want to say shout out to Denise, his wife, that just Mark had such a when you see the word Mark Roth, I think of domination. That's what I think of.
100%.
Right? Domination. So yeah, it's another guy that I just wanted to mention because I saw his name come up on the board here, and yeah, he man, he was something special as well. But Johnny, I agree with you. That's why I'm trying to say greatness is great, no matter where it is. It's great.
I'm kind of embarrassed that I missed that name. That's a pretty.
Yeah, I just listen. I think you realize the name. The names we mentioned, but I mean, man, Mark, he influenced generations, right? He influenced generations. That were, that in my time because he was, I watched him bowl on TV, and I remember when he won. I think it was his last title in Windsor, up in Ontario, using the Quantum. I think that was number 34 in 1995. But I mean, he won 8 in 1 year. I mean, and like you mentioned earlier, when they were bowling 33, 35 weeks a year, 42 games a week, 56 in the majors. You can't even compare what they do now in 3 months to what they did there, where there was a fall tour, a summer tour, a spring tour. I mean, the guy won 8 times.
And with his thumb. Don't forget that. 30 weeks a year, 42.
All that, so
and
just
8 titles, you're in the top 24 almost every week also.
Listen, let's just say great is great, and that's how I'm going to answer that.
I remember watching him. He would literally have to corkscrew the thing in, and it would be
was beautiful.
Half of the thing
skin
would be
patch
like,
everywhere. It was
stomach. You see skin. It looked like peeling a potato, and like you see skin coming off. And
I loved it.
Now, does that make what EJ's doing now kind of more special because there's not as many tournaments?
Well, not only is there not as many tournaments, but listen, Belmo did the same. As winning.
And Belmo, yeah, sure.
Well, but what makes it special about EJ's doing it is because he's traditional with his thumb in it, and it's the power game. The throw it left to right, the separate. But then when it calls to get it up the lane, you got to get it up the lane, and that's where the urethane comes into play. And these guys are still. And EJ's not a big urethane guy, by the way.
No, he's still throwing resin.
He throws resin more often than not.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
That's what I was trying to get at earlier, Rob, is that what EJ has done these last couple of years in the modern where Belmo took the world by storm because, he changed bowling. I mean, a whole generation is throwing it two-handed because, the greatest major champion of all time throws it with two hands. And, it's man, I've had a front row seat. That's been pretty cool to watch as well.
That is pretty cool to watch. It really is. I mean, it's amazing.
I got to throw in one thing, and then I'll let you take over the show, you guys. But I wanted to just throw in one thing. It's actually a really, really valid point in my brain here that I completely just forgot again. And it happens at least once a week. It happens once a week. And this is
Jim, have the two-handers do you guys discuss injuries? Because this is a new thing now. Like obviously the one-handers, the injuries are very similar: the wrist, the elbow, the knee, the hip, because the one-sided torque. And we talked to Belmo a few times, and I was like, well, I'm sure your back is tweaked a little bit because, and then he goes, not at all. And I'm like, well, shit, you know what? You're right. You're using the bigger muscles. You're cupped. Your bicep is using it rather than your wrist muscles. You
could say the two-handed delivery is a more efficient motion because
way more. It's super efficient. We got to find out though.
Well, are you stronger carrying with two hands?
Absolutely. That's what I said. If you carry 2 bowling balls, you're symmetrical. So when you have them in 2 hands, you're at least a little more symmetrical. And you're using your lats, your shoulders.
Yeah. The delivery still, ends up being, when the
very similar
when the hand comes off of it, but the getting there is totally
none of the stresses are the same at all.
Different stress.
Even lower body.
Yeah, it's
even
different
lower body because you're still cradled.
I think that's where Oscar Palermo, and Jason, when the argument was, who was better at that time when they were coming up, Jason got a little bit more polished, a little less raw, and a little less power, and honed his power.
So you know what? Even anatomically wise, when you hold something away from you, if you hold a bowling ball out like this, it's going to hurt. When it's right in here, you're good. And Belmo is here as he's about to let it go. So he tucked everything in, and he was like, "No, nothing really hurts." And I was like, "My God, you're 40-something years old, and nothing hurts."
He's 42, but I mean, just to finish up on Oscu, Oscu was really powerful, and he didn't change a lot of his style and get, quiet it down, and he got some pretty serious injuries, and he's
he did. So this is the first. This is literally a first.
We don't see him. We don't know if
the
guy was an unbelievable talent.
We don't know if it's his technique or if it's a two-handed technique.
He didn't get less. He needed to hone things down.
He needed to be less. I don't want to say violent, but I want to say
he was too violent. No, you're right. Violent's a good word. His motion was too violent on too many body parts, and Oscu's as strong as an ox and was in great shape.
About 30 miles an hour, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, you don't need to throw it that hard on the spares. It was like watching the circus, because you never knew what he was going to do next.
Ocho, if you go watch when Oscu made his first show, I think it was the
2004 U.S. Open, California.
And then you go
watch. I was actually at the gym that day when it was on television. And
you go watch the 04 Open, and then you jump over to his most recent TV show. Oscu looks virtually the same. He's very violent and aggressive getting to the line. When you watch Belmo and go back to his first show when he wins in Babylon using plastic on the right lane and curving on the left lane, Belmo looks like aggressive young Belmo. As the years have progressed, Belmo has
tightened it up.
Yeah, I almost want to say
he got more upright.
Very similar to the way that Sean Rash did. My question is going to be moving forward is when I look at guys like Kyle Troop and I look at guys like Belmo and I look at guys like Boog, they don't have a lot of arch in their lower back. The guys' games that do worry me now that I'm 40 are the guys that have a lot of spine tilt and tip.
Simo looks like one.
Simo's really low.
Simo worries me just moving forward because
back and knee.
One of the guys.
But again, you're not. But it's still big muscles. It's still big muscles.
Respectfully, I understand that. What I'm saying is I'm a no thumber, and at the age of 40, I've always had an athletic build. I've always had strong legs. I was a baseball player.
You can't be 40 with a full head of hair like that.
Hey. But even now, my lower half is getting a little bit sluggish because I have a lot of spine tilt. So I'm interested to see what happens in a decade from now.
This is a new territory, exactly, which what we talked about. That's why, when Belmo was like, "I'm good, mate," I was like, "Damn."
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. Time will tell. But listen, Jason's going to be 42 or 41. He's going to be 41. No, 42, I think, in July. So.
Yeah,
we'll and Kyle
and he's still at the top.
Effortless though. At this point,
Kyle really started taking his health and
he's in great shape too. He's doing so many things well.
Mark Baker said Troop was one of the strongest guys he's seen.
But
he's taken his health and fitness to a new level since September of last year. Got with a trainer.
He's got such good symmetry about him, and the way he lets go of the ball. And we were joking, I think, probably 6 months ago about how it looks like he's not even touching the ball, and yet he's still he's getting 520.
Hey guys, this just came on my phone. Speaking of EJ Tacket, you can't see it.
We're almost there. It's going to be backwards too. So
this is for left brain 300 in singles at the 2025 USBC Open
Masters in LA.
Very good.
He just sold 300 the last game in singles. Shoot 775.
Good night. I mean,
guy never has a bad day.
Well, you did mention Kyle,
and my best series ever, by the way.
We've talked to Kyle on the show about right when he was changing and starting his new fitness routine.
Yeah, he's doing great with it
and getting better mentally because he obviously had issues last.
Yeah, think about what Kyle did, Rob.
Yeah,
he made the playoffs this year and didn't make a TV show.
That's what I was going to get to. He was very consistent all year, but we didn't see him on TV. What was his mindset throughout the year? Because he stayed positive from what I saw every week.
He was close every week.
Yeah,
it was probably clearly his most consistent year for every week.
Right.
And he just couldn't break through. We couldn't break through in the shows, and the season's short.
Right.
You don't make a couple of shows. You start pressing a little bit here and there, but he gave himself opportunity every week. He was in the hunt
every week,
week in, week out, and
it felt like he made match play almost every single week.
I think it's going to pay off for him. You're not going to see the dividends of Well, you saw it because he made the playoffs still, but
Sure.
you're going to see the behavior that he's taken on and the new wave fitness and that level is going to really pay off for him down the road.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
100%. So,
Just to wrap it up here, because we are
Sure,
a little
guys.
bit long.
Sorry.
Getting back to the league, it was a big thing for so many years. And you did mention last year, I thought they were ramping it up with bowling at each center every week.
This is great.
I loved it. That was a fantastic concept. But getting to some of your favorite things over the years, obviously, Norm Duke was very emotional. I mean, going out in the league and striking on his last shot. I mean, you can't write a better story than that, right?
No, I mean, unbelievable. Just a couple, just to answer your question real quick, a couple of points that really hit home for me were once we became the Portland Lumberjacks, you never know when these things are going to end. So
Right.
I always wanted to win one in Portland because it was such a special environment.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when we were able to win that first one in 2019 and the fans rushed they're everywhere. And Mark Roth's in there with us to give him the trophy presentation and the Mark Roth MVP award to Wes Malott, and I'm hugging Ryan Simonelli and I'm hugging Mitch Huppé and I'm hugging Kyle and, we're hugging Charlie and obviously the franchise Wes and obviously, and Chris Prather, the Shark, and that first win, was super special. And then
That's cool.
COVID hit, and then we still win it without a crowd in
so
Virginia.
Weird. So weird. Yeah.
So we win it outside of Bayside in a different format with a different team. This time with Martin Larson on our team and Packy Hanrahan, and the big three, which were Wes, Chris Prather and Kyle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. And then the one you just discussed, where we finally get over the hump against Dallas and we beat them in the final, and it's Norm Duke's last shot, and it's super emotional for us, and it's emotional for everybody because Wes Malott and Norm have been doubles partners, and and you never forget that moment. But then like 3 in a row, man, are you kidding me? Then we win it with three different teams in 3 different formats in 3 different places because we won it on the old side the first year. Then we won it in Virginia. Then we won it on the new side the next year.
Yeah.
And then the following year we get to the final again somehow. And and then that's when the Brunswick team, Johnny Petraglia, managing the team, ends up being his last year, and with Parker and Simonelli, who was on our team before, and they just had like 5 guys, and they took the urethane out and they beat us.
They did. It was, and that was. I know
special.
Simonelli talked about having a kind of a chip on his shoulder because he felt slighted.
Well, he shouldn't have been slighted because at that time, the only reason why he wasn't still a Lumberjack is because he was making a career change. And then he's like, I'm not sure if I'm going to bowl anymore. So, and then he decided, that he was going to come back, and he did, and I think that the comeback was more because he got let go by another team, not by our team. It wasn't against us.
Right.
Ryan's a lifetime Lumberjack in my opinion. But then last year, obviously, which we didn't realize was going to be the last year of the league with us losing a heartbreaker to Las Vegas. They make 2 washouts that second game, and we're up 2-0 and going into a roll off. And but you got to credit Andrew Anderson for doing a great job and the high rollers for winning, and Amuletto for you got to tip your cap sometimes. You get it happens.
True.
But then Wes Malott ends up throwing the last ball of the league, and that was emotional for me because he's been there since day one with me.
Yeah.
But it was fitting that probably the MVP of the PBA league the previous 5 years, which was Wes, got to throw the last ball in the league. So yeah. So many memories. We got 3 banners there. Got all the pictures. Charlie Mitchell, Bayside Bowl, special place in the PBA, and special place in bowling.
How's Big West doing, by the way?
Listen, he's doing good. Actually sent him a couple pictures today. It's funny you mentioned that because I'm going to show you what I sent him. Because you never know what you're going to do when you're cleaning up stuff. But I'm cleaning up my house.
Nice.
And what do I find? I find Wes Malott right there. So I thought that was pretty cool. I found that,
Didn't he
cleaning up
bowl like a
garage.
couple of 300s during that thing? It wasn't just one. He just like
Yeah, he bowled 300, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. It was crazy.
It's
Whatever.
crazy. Yes. No, I
He
mean,
was the king, king of bowling then, but I said that to him today. So he's doing good. He's got a lovely family up there in Fort Wayne, and
yep.
obviously his elbow was really bad. And it was really cool this year when he made the run with Jordan, his son. They almost made the show at the doubles, the Roth-Holman doubles. That was really cool.
That's right.
I'm a fan of the franchise for life. He's family for me. So
that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Not too many people on this planet as good as Wes or Sarah, for that matter.
Yeah, good people. Good people.
Well, Tim, we appreciate you being on again.
Man.
Always fun to talk to you.
It goes fast, man.
Such a wealth of knowledge, man. And you just, again, for what you've done for the sport, not just here, but internationally, your 30 years of Storm. I mean, you definitely left an indelible mark on the sport. And, we all owe a debt of gratitude for your service.
Yeah, listen, Rob. Big thanks for letting me come on here with you and Ocho, and obviously I've got a very deep personal relationship with JP and profound. I'll always be there for him, and I'm glad to have him back here, and we get a chance to chat it anytime I get a chance to speak to him and really talk about bowling, which it's been so important to me. Is my family, I have my whole family, my wife's because of bowling. I love bowling, and it's just I just want it to be better. If we all talked about it in a higher light and we're more positive about it, we got to appreciate the people that we have in it instead of trying to bring them down. Build them up. Don't bring them down. Build them up. And if we build up our bowlers and build up our kids and build up the people that are doing it now, the next generation that comes up says, "Hey, man, this is really cool. This is really, really cool." So, we get caught up in social media today, and which is what we're on right now. We're doing this is great that we have this opportunity, but I'd like to see just as much support as we can for one another. And if we can do that more together collectively, man, the industry is going to do better. The sport will do better, and I think we'll gather more fans and more people over time. And that's my goal. My goal is to make it a little bit better every day. I mean, I sometimes I fall short, but it's not because of lack of effort. And I just want to say, thanks for having me on, and it's good to have you guys back because you guys are important to bowling too. People want to talk about it. They want to talk about different topics, right? And the fact that you guys have had 150 plus shows. Think about that for a second. You've taken the time out of your schedules. All three of you are super busy, and you get on here and you give it a little humor. You give it a little bit of everything, and it's really cool. And I tip my cap to you guys, and thanks for letting me be here on Straight Up 5. And I'm always whenever you guys if you have a week off where you need to fill in, I'm more than happy to come in.
Absolutely.
I want to
what a salute. Jesus. Yeah. This is, man, our tires are pumped. Holy shit.
I do.
Our tires are pumped like this. Thank you, Tim, buddy.
Yes, thank you, Tim. That was very
awesome.
Gracious.
Much appreciated.
We know it's straight from the heart. And I actually want to take just a quick 2 seconds. There are so many more amazing, significant, awesome people in this world than are credited for. And 3 of them are sitting right here. This past month has been eye-opening for me on so many levels, not only with just the 3 of you, but Tim, through you, a couple of very important people to me also went out of their way to be those exact people, just like you guys have been, especially in my case. I know I'm getting a little selfish with this one, but I just wanted to, from the bottom of my heart, to you guys know who you are. Especially, I'm going to shout out Jeff Skyers. I'm going to shout out Jennifer, amongst the 3 of you here. Shout out Nick and a couple other people that have literally been, and obviously Parker Bone. You guys have been by my side through everything, thick and thin, and showed nothing but absolute love. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for
keep
all.
Digging in, brother. Keep digging in.
Absolutely.
One day at a time, bro. I mean, we all love you. It's a great community that we have, and you've all even you, Johnny. You made such an impact, not just on my life, but many people's lives, and we're proud of you. And yeah, that's all we need to really say about it. But just we love you and just keep on going. So
100%, boys. 100%.
Hell yeah.
More
Well,
positivity, guys. More positivity.
That's
yes,
right.
sir. And you're right, Tim. Just to wrap it up, social media is very toxic. It's and not just bowling. It's any walk of life. Any sport, any TV
No,
show,
but
any
the
movie.
bowling though is really like a guy wins. You're like, look what Gary Haynes had to suffer through when he fought, and he was the
True.
first one to self-deprecate on the lanes, and was like, I get it, man. I bowled like garbage, and then sure enough, he gets blasted, and it's like whatever. You're like, this is
It's just
they're
the society
eating
we're in
their
now.
own. They're eating
Yeah.
their own, and it's really terrible.
That is true. We need more people like Tim and to. You're right.
There's
Tim.
always going to be the class, but like if they're only about 5%, you won't notice them. So
That's true. Well, again, Tim, take care, buddy. We love
Thank
you.
you, my
Thanks
man.
for coming on. Anytime you're welcome. And yeah, we'll catch up with you.
Appreciate you guys. Much love to y'all.
All right, Tim. Take care, bud. What a show, man. That was
Don't get much
we're
better
off the air now or what?
What praise and coming from him. That
Oh,
was
shit, that was a great salute,
that was
dude. I was like, man,
what
Yeah.
better
ain't talking about me,
recommendation.
I know that.
Yeah.
That
Guys
was-
won in 70 different countries. Yeah.
I'm with Chuck Ritchie. I'm still watching the game in Ocho's background.
I
And
know.
John Sperone, when I see you, I'm gonna
I can't
beat
see
your
this.
fucking ass one day.
I can't see the score. Dr. Interrupto, let Timmy
Yeah,
talk.
I will beat your ass. You have no idea. I'm going to beat your ass.
Oh, that was good stuff. That was good stuff. Yeah, man.
Ocho, is the pool
Thank
open
you.
yet? I need.
No, I got
Look.
Flex Seal. It's next week. It's been cold for the last week and a half.
I
Man.
thought that April showers bring May flowers.
Yes, and May
What-
flowers bring
What are
pilgrims.
these,
So what
these
the
May
fuck?
showers doing?
It's been raining here like a motherfucker. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Love you
It's
too,
new.
Chuck, and I'm sorry I didn't bring you up in my list of
No,
thanks.
my pool cover's a freaking bird bath right now.
I do.
I do.
I do. I love how he spelled it. I do. So I'm working on Daria Poyok. Trying
That's
to get
just
her
bad
on.
verbiage right there. Like, just don't say it like that. Whatever you do.
I
please
did it
don't.
right. It's Poyok, right? Did I?
No, you said I'm working on her. Like that's you don't say it like
Oh,
that. You said,
you're
"Oh, well, maybe we're trying to get her," because like we just don't trust you, Rob, and your neck. I got
Nope.
it.
If we do get her, she would be the second best looking person
Nope,
on the
that's such a
planet.
bad idea. Yes, no.
Right behind you, Rob. You gotta make sure you send me a picture of that.
We
So
need
I
to make
can
that a T-shirt
help
for
you
the
out to
show.
look for it.
Ocho, drop that in the software thing.
I got
and
it. Was in your birthday profile thing I had all set up, but then you got all pissy.
You're such a dick.
You're probably friends with Sperone, whose ass I'm gonna fucking beat.
It's good to be back. I was excited for the show, and I was glad to have time off with the family. It was actually much needed. I think. Oh, John, don't put your chicken away.
Yeah, man, just like
gonna
Belmo,
get
you know,
kicked
he's
off of
away from
YouTube.
his family and of the USA, and you know what that's like because you do a podcast once a week. I remember
Johnny?
you said that. Yeah, that's got to be tough, man. Boy, you and Belmo are so much alike.
Put the chicken away. My daughter graduated from kindergarten
What
last
chicken?
week, so
How many times she get left back? Sorry.
you know.
I told Dave I was going all in.
Put this up.
Oh, Sperone,
I got bigger.
if I ever see you, I'm going to beat you to a pulp, and you know it's going to happen. And you're going to be like, dude, I'm sorry. I was just kidding. It's all fun and games. And I'll make you cry first, and I'll be like, all right.
I do.
Yes. Well, somebody please send us an email. I honestly checked it the other day, and then there's nothing there. But like my car warranty's expired. I think somebody ordered something on Amazon for me that I didn't order. I don't know. Brian LaPlace, welcome to the show. We're about to wrap it up. Thanks for
All
coming.
right. Welcome back. Great seeing you. See you later.
Hey, anybody in the Howell area, June 1st, Sunday, there's a Bowlers to Veterans link, BVL charity being held. It's filled up now, but you can obviously come down. Raffles, 50-50, silent auctions, the whole shebang, and it's all to raise money for the military vets who desperately need it. So that'll be at Howell Lane. Squads are at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Again, that's at Howell Lanes. I believe it's 1002 Route 9 South at the intersection of Casino Drive. Come on out. You'll see some local celebrities, local professional bowlers, some really good names tossed in there. And again, thank you to everybody, military active, retired, gone but not forgotten, and it's obviously for a great cause. So looking forward to seeing everybody who the event sold out immediately. And I think this is the 4th or 5th year that they're doing it. And Tony Norsha, my father, and everybody else with the BVL has done an excellent job. And I'd like to pat myself on the back for taking high average at Majestic Lanes this year, courtesy of a solid 8:15 on the last night.
Ooh, sexy.
I'll praise myself for that. Also like to thank myself for shooting 285 last night in my summer league, going front 10 6-3.
Wait, and you shot 284 last night of league. Wait, hold on. What was it?
No.
The last night of league on the Thursday league when you subbed, you shot a 280.
Oh, I think I shot like a 284 or a 280.
I just said 284, right?
Yeah, that's
on,
the Testicle Festival.
Spurron sent that to me. The Testicle Festival in Olean, Missouri.
Perfect.
Of course he sent that.
We are going. We are going.
Oh, yes, we are.
I haven't had
Bradley drive to you. Would love to give you. Dude, I don't need to
June
get my
7th.
best to beat Spur. Oh my God, I'll give you.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I could go for some Rocky Mountain oysters. And if you
I'll give you 18%, and I still guarantee you're going to be like, man, I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. You're the best. I swear, I promise you.
Brian, thank you for your service, sir. Appreciate that very, very much.
How's my diet exercise regimen? Okay, we got to wrap it up. That's another edition of Straight Up 5 this week.
Okay, sounds good. And
I was depressed at eating because I didn't have a podcast every week. So no, I had a lot going on with the family, and then I had an infected tooth last week, which kept me out of the gym. It fucking sucked. I had to get it.
Yeah, that happens.
I had to get a root canal.
There's signs on the wall that say if you have an infected tooth, please don't come work out. I've seen it.
No, the sign, if you have an infected tooth, just make sure you stress eat. So you'll be fine.
No, you
know what to do.
I've been back in the last 2 days, so it's
what to do.
It's all good. Dr. Interrupto, show your face, you
Go in the curves.
sissy.
What mask?
All right.
This way you'll know it's me.
Clifton, that's a joke of the week.
That festival does look like it's nuts. Good job, Clifton Dunn.
I get it.
I do. We should do a live stream. June 7th, the Testicle Festival.
The Testicle Festival should be at the Illinois State Fair.
It's really a great name, actually. Like
it should be like Hurricane Harbor and Six Flags, just 2 parks in one, you know?
Olean, Missouri, June 7th. Check out the Testicle Festival.
Okay.
There's bands, there's food, there's fun.
Motor cars, not a single luxury.
They actually put fun on the advertisement.
It's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Rob, way to do it. Way to go with the outro. How we doing? All right.
Hey, Butters is in the house. What's up, brother?
Good to see you, bro.
We talked about you tonight, just for a second.
We did.
Just for a second.
We sure did. Right. Looking forward to seeing you soon, homie.
You bet.
Yeah, we'll be back, guys. We appreciate everybody coming back tonight. We missed all of you. I missed you guys. You even Ocho. I did.
You use better aim. You won't miss next time.
Oh well.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Gretzky, the great one's in the house. What's going on, brother?
Missed you too, AG. Good to see you, bro.
But yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do next week, but we'll be here. We'll be here.
We will be here.
Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
Got to work on Tom Hess for completing the Triple Crown of the Senior Tour. Kudos to Tom Hess for a sensational performance at the Bud Moore Players 50 Championship with a 298 in the title match against the great John Janowitz.
I do.
Tom Hess, and we haven't had him on here yet. I'm going to make it my job to find Tom Hess and get him on here to talk about just the awesome later years of his bowling career, and he just seems to get better with age.
He does.
And Rob, you continue to work on Daria.
I will work on her. Me and Schlemmer have been double working
easy.
Okay. She's not going to come if you keep talking like that.
Well, she will if he tickles it right.
Close the show. We're losing it. We're losing it.
We got to go. Steve Sachs says, Zach Sachs says,
Steve Sachs, the guy who couldn't hit first base from second base.
That is my state doubles partner who absolutely destroyed him at the state tournament this year at Parkway Lanes. Great job, Steve.
Damn.
Fortunately, I gave him 690 in doubles, so hopefully we finished pretty high up. I think Steve shot like 750 or 760, so We had a pretty nice double set at State. So
Tell me when we're ending the show, because every time I do this, I cramp up because something else happens.
we're done. Goodbye. Go.
Shit.
Hold
Oh,
on,
wait, now here's Butters. Oh, fuck. Hold on. Hang on.
We
Shit.
got to listen to Butters. Tom has
I got you. Oh, hang on. Fuck, man.
Oh, by the way, shout out. Happy birthday to the newly unemployed Randy Peterson. Happy birthday, brother. Appreciate you.
Happy birthday,
Unemployed?
Well, he's not on Fox anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, the
Randy will be just fine.
whatever it is going to do whatever.
And Randy moves when the PBA moves, man.
Yeah, he's like kind of like part of it.
My bowels are moving here. So Turtle's poking out the shell. We got to go. Guys, let's see you next week. We love you all. We have a new outro. Nico. I'm going to hit it right now.
Jeez.
Chunky chicken done.
Do it.
Have you seen Rob's chin?
Thanks for listening to this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. You can follow the show on Twitter at Straight Up 5 Pod. Follow Johnny Jr. at JPJR07. Follow Rad Rob at Rad Rob Gaming. And follow Dr. Ocho at the Dr. Ocho. Got a question for Johnny? Send your questions to straightup5podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.